We'll be looking at the biggest income struggles people face and how to overcome them. Remember that there are three pillars of financial stability, of financial wisdom. The first one is making the income, creating the income. The second one is managing your income. And then the third one is multiplying the income. Do you see that income came into all the three pillars? Meaning that if you don't even create the income in the first instance, there will be nothing to manage and there will be nothing to multiply. And most people's financial problems actually start at that foundation, the foundation of poor income. And once the foundation has very poor income or limited income or income struggle, then the rest of your financial life is a struggle. The rest of your years, you can struggle. And many people struggle financially until they die because the foundation of income was very, very weak. So today we are going to look at the 10 biggest income struggles that many of us face. And actually, I faced all these 10 hurdles myself. So I'll be speaking from my experience. And then when I mention each of the struggles, I will also tell you what to do about them. But to start, there are 7 personal income finance basics. And why this is very important, I would actually encourage you to snap this, to screenshot this. And then what I want you to do is to go through these 7 basics and rate yourself according to how much you know and how well you are doing in each of these 7 basics. So in order for you to do well financially, you need to understand and practice these 7 basics. And many people, many adults, unfortunately, don't even understand these basics and why they are so important. We just wake up every morning and then we go, struggle, hustle, and we are not paying attention to the fundamentals. So these are the fundamentals of personal finance. If you don't understand them and if you don't work with them, you will struggle. Believe you me. There are people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s who are struggling because they ignored these basics. So these are the fundamentals. The first one being income, which we're going to be focusing on today. Income, the money you earned from work or from investments or from other sources. This is foundational because if there is no income, there is no conversation around personal finance. And then the second fundamental is expenses, because this involves your cost of living, the cost of just being a human, maintaining yourself as a human person, as cost of living, rent, food, transportation. These are utilities, things that you have to spend on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, on an annual basis in order to function as a person. Expenses. Then the other one is budgeting. And then budgeting flows from your income and expenses, because budgeting speaks to how do you plan to manage the income and the expenses. And you would never believe how few the people who actually practice budgeting are in the world. And so many people approach me with financial problems, and then you can just listening to them. Someone says, oh, my money is never enough. It doesn't take me to the end of the month. And I make such an amount of money, but it's never enough. It's not a money problem. It's a budgeting problem. So many financial problems are actually budgeting problems. That's a revelation for me. And it also manifested in my own life. Even though I had a very excellent job, I was earning so much money. I was top 0.1% of income earners in the country. At the time I was doing 9 to 5 with the oil and gas companies that I worked with. But I had serious financial struggle. And only budgeting could have taken care of it, because how you know that you have a budgeting problem is that at the end of every month, you ask yourself, where did all the money go? So if you've ever asked that question, say, that's me in the comment section. Just say, that's me. If you've ever wondered at the end of the month, where did all this money go? I can tell that you're having a serious budgeting problem. It's not income problem. It's not even expenses problem. It's a budgeting problem. You don't know where your income is going. And then the fourth fundamental is saving. And how important it is. I wish everybody on Facebook, on LinkedIn, just dropped everything they were doing and paid attention to these things. I am telling you, many times the solution to our problems are extremely simple. They are not complicated. Every financial problem you have right now can be located on what you are seeing on the screen. I like to repeat that. Every financial problem you're having, whether it is in your family, your personal life, or even in your business as a business owner, you can see it located in this one slide. Isn't that amazing? Many times our financial problems have very simple solutions, but we're always looking for the complicated answers. And then many religious Africans even go as much as, going to consult spirits, consult prophets, when all you needed to do is just to budget. When all you needed to do is just understand how much is coming in, how much are you spending, and then how do you need to increase your income. You do not need prophets. You do not need special anointed pastors or imams. All you need is fundamentally is here. The other personal finance basics is investing. Why are you going to a prophet when you are not investing? You are not growing your wealth through the things that you are making, generating. Okay? Then there is also the insurance and risk management. You're talking about how do you protect against financial risks, because financial risks are a fact of life. They happen every day. So a gentleman contacted me, an entrepreneur. He is running a logistics business. He bought 2 or 3 tankers. He borrowed money and bought 2 or 3 tankers. And then you wouldn't believe it, ladies and gentlemen, these 2 tankers caught fire and burnt, so he was distributing diesel products. And then the business was doing well, but he hadn't finished paying the debt on the trucks. And these trucks caught fire for some strange reason. My first question to him was, do you have insurance on those trucks? And guess what he said? No. If he had insurance, he would have had those trucks replaced. So now he's stuck with a failed business and he's stuck with debt that he has to pay back because he does not practice the personal finance basics that I'm showing you here. And then, of course, the 7th one is debt management. So many of us get into consumer debt. Many of us have serious debt, but we don't know how to deal with them. Okay, so let me look at the comment section. Of course, as usual, if you are joining us new, please share this. People need to know this. And you can also type any question you have while I'm going on in the comment section, and I would pause once in a while to look at them. Catherine asked, what is difficult in mastering your finance? Yeah, nothing, to be honest with you. It's as simple as the things I'm showing you here. All the suffering I personally had in my money life came from how I scored on all these basics, because we leave basics and start looking for complicated things. But these are the basics. And then I told you guys how I met a billionaire in 2003, 2004, 2005. He helped me up to 2007. And everything he advised me, he told me to do. Now looking at it, you can find it on this page, on this particular slide I'm showing you right now. Okay, So why am I doing what I'm doing for free? This is usually what I'm paid thousands of dollars, by organizations and by individuals to do for them. This is what groups pay me thousands of dollars in fees, speaking fees, to come do for them. So why am I doing this free? Because I woke up about 2 months ago and asked myself, if I had only 1,000 days to live and I have to impart some valuable lessons to the world, what would it be? And then I figured that 3 things that also impacted my life would be wonderful to share with the world. What are those 3 things? Number 1, financial independence, teaching you how to attain financial independence and sharing my failures and then my successes along the path of financial independence, So I'm still on the journey, and I'm bringing authenticity and truthfulness and openness to sharing with you what you need to know to develop the skills and strategies to attain financial independence. Second thing is to scale your business. For those of you who are business owners, entrepreneurs, I'm always on the side of business owners and then entrepreneurs. I've had remarkable career working with Shell and Chevron and learning how these big businesses run so effectively, why they've been able to last for almost 200 years without failing, and what small businesses can learn from them. And of course, the ultimate in my business career was working with Stanford University through the Stanford Seed program. That was remarkable. And I've also educated thousands of business owners in Lagos Business School and then China Europe International Business School. And the third thing that I'm focusing on is family. All right, so that's why I am now an apostle of the family in the marketplace. You can see, some of you follow me online, you can see all the conversations around divorce, how people have actually made divorce. People just accept it as a fact of life, and then people get married these days and then the marriage collapses after 1 month. And people think that that is normal. How would you call that normal? When our parents in our generation remained married to a single woman, to a single man for 60-something years, and they were able to raise very stable, healthy individuals, like myself, and people who are influencing the world practically, impacting the world in different places. Every month, up to the last time I checked, almost 7 million, 8 million people around the world, from Africa, from the Caribbean, from Pacific, in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, about 8 million people read my post on social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Why? Because my parents stayed together and they raised me. They raised me well. They built a very conducive environment, a love-filled environment that raised up my siblings and myself in a very love-filled environment. So I want to bring back the family, the traditional family values. I want to make marriage work. I want to make parenting work again. So these are the 3 things I'm going to be focusing on for 1,000 days. Today is day 50. So we still have 950 days to go. And then my expectation is that 950 days, in 1,000 days, I'm going to raise 1,000 billionaires among us. And if you are one of them, just say I'm one of them. And in 1,000 days, I want to see families healed. I want to see businesses restored, doing very well. I want to see marriages thriving. I want to see marriages facing conflict becoming love-filled. That's my joy, okay? And then if this excites you, just say I'm excited in the comment section. Okay, so today we are looking at the 10 biggest income struggles people have and then how to deal with them. I'm going to offer you an exercise. I'm going to talk about each of them, and then I will offer you an exercise, what to do to deal with that. And then when I mention each of them, just score yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. Score yourself on how you perform on that one if you have that struggle. Now, the first income struggle people have all over the world, whether it is the so-called advanced world or whether it is the so-called third world countries or developing economies, is a big problem. People living paycheck to paycheck. In fact, it's not been long I came back from a trip to the United States. It's always been there. I go to America fairly regularly every year, and each time I go, this last time I was in America, I think it's worse. More than 60% of Americans are just one paycheck away from destitution, from living homeless. And you can see the serious homelessness situation in America. You find people who have postgraduate degrees in computer science living in their cars just because they missed a paycheck. It's a big problem. And then you find people who, at the end of, you just basically every time waiting for the end of the month when they will pay you, your employer will pay you. And then in between is anxiety. Then on the 28th or 29th, whenever you paid, okay, there's a little relief. Then between the 28th and the 28th of next month is another anxiety. So many people find it very hard to save because all of their income is spent on daily expenses, on rent, on transportation. So some of you earn 100,000, you spend 40 on transportation, you spend 30 on food, you spend 20 on maybe utilities or something like that. At the end of it, there's nothing left. That is a very, very dangerous way to live. Paycheck to paycheck is dangerous. Please type that in the comment section. I would like our people to actually appreciate how dangerous living paycheck to paycheck is. Very, very dangerous because you are extremely vulnerable. You are extremely vulnerable living like that. Okay, so what is the strategy to deal with this? Like I said at the beginning, it might not necessarily be income problem or even expense problem. It is a budgeting problem. So the strategy I would recommend if you're living paycheck to paycheck, first thing to do is actually to build a realistic budget based on what you are earning. And I plead with you, don't say my salary is too small to save. I hear that all the time. Never ever say my salary is too small to save, because it's a belief, number one. And then number two, it's not about how much you save. It is about the principle. Somebody put it this way. He said, if you cannot save money, the seed of greatness is not in you. Please type that quote. Somebody type it. One of you type it in the comment section. If you cannot save money, the seed of greatness is not in you. Let that sink in for a moment. So don't say my salary is too small, because it's not about this, how much you're saving. It is about the habit. I'm hitting at the habit because money has a very serious behavioral angle to it. In fact, when it comes to money, in my own estimation, is 90% behavioral economics, and only 10% like the technical things. So the reason you have to make sure you don't spend everything you earn, even if it is 1%. Don't worry about the amount. But it's to create that habit that you are not the kind of person that consumes everything you earn. And then you find it becomes a vicious cycle, because if paycheck to paycheck becomes a vicious cycle if you can save even a tiny percentage of what you earn. So an exercise I would recommend for you if you're having this paycheck to paycheck problem is to track your expenses just 1 month. Take a piece of paper or use an Excel spreadsheet or something for 1 month. Look at the things that you've bought for 1 month. And then if you look at the things you actually bought for 1 month, you might be shocked that you can see places that you can cut back. No matter how small your salary is, you can see places you can cut back so that you can start saving 5 to 10%. Worst case scenario, 1%. So let the habit kick in, and then you'll be amazed, what happens. Is this making sense to somebody? Okay. Yes, Catherine says, Very dangerous living paycheck to paycheck, because many do it because of laziness, and then they do not defer gratification. That is fantastic, and that is something to add to this slide. Delayed gratification. Why must you have iPhone 16, for goodness sake? And why must you have it now? What is the business case for iPhone 16 in your life right now? You're earning salary and you are buying the most expensive iPhone. What is the... So, in fact, that's a question you need to always ask yourself. What is the business case? Because believe you me, I used iPhone 6 for a long time, for years, before somebody now convinced me to buy iPhone 10 XS. And then the reason I was convinced was because it had better video. It had better video capabilities and all that, some other things than iPhone 6. I was not under pressure for many years. By the time I had iPhone 6, I was using iPhone 6, there was already iPhone 12 or something like that, or 13. But, so before I buy anything like that, I ask myself, what is the business case? How is this thing going to return itself? And then the same thing happened before I now got from iPhone 10 XS to getting the iPhone 11, which is what I'm using right now. And it is serving. It's fantastic. It's serving 512 gigabytes. And then I have a subscription for in Apple for 2 terabytes. That's enough. What am I doing with iPhone 17, for goodness sake? So always ask, what is the business case? Because that's what's keeping people buying things and then messing up their budget. Okay. Now, second struggle with salary is low salary or stagnant wages. It's a big struggle with salary. How will you keep on earning? You've been earning low salary since you graduated from the university. For 5, 6, 7 years, your salary is low. And you are not doing anything about it. You are not seeing growth. Even though the inflation in your country is also messing up, because the 50,000 you were earning 2 years ago is not 50,000 today. The 50,000 2 years ago is like 10,000 today. It's like 10,000, and you are still earning 50,000, and you think everything is okay. It's not okay. Low salary or being stagnant in your wages. Okay? Despite rising living costs. If you're listening to this from Nigeria, the other day we read how Lagos state government raised the school fees in secondary schools. I forget the exact figure, but I think it's something like from 40,000 naira that it was to over 100,000. The government itself is raising fees, and they're still paying you exactly the same thing. And you have 4 children, you have 3 children. So what do you need to do? First of all, actually, don't get comfortable with low salary, with low wages. Because number one is demeaning. I feel it's very demeaning that somebody should even determine how much I should earn as a human being. That's demeaning. That I only earn money when somebody opens his hands. That's demeaning. So the first thing is, don't feel comfortable with low salary. And then some of you, instead of inspiring yourself to do something, you go begging. You go begging. Begging also demeans you. Begging messes up your brain. Begging affects your self-worth and your self-esteem. You don't want to do that. If other people could solve their problem, so can you. So what do you need to do? Think about new skills that you can develop. There are courses, there are certifications, there are things you can learn to increase your market value. And these things, it's amazing how free some of these things are. Just go to YouTube. You can learn copywriting. You can learn online marketing. You can learn digital marketing skills. You can learn all kinds of... You can even learn computer programming. You can. Even Facebook ads, you can make so much money. A young guy approached me to do my Facebook ads, and he was having a budget of 2 million or something like that, and I was ready to give it to him. I paid him, much of that money, because he has those skills. And then these are things you can learn in a weekend. So don't be comfortable with low salary. Think about new skills you can do, because basically your salary is low basically because the contribution you're making is low. The contribution you're making in the marketplace is low. So that is one thing I want you to do. Then problem number 3, income problem number 3, is you lack multiple streams of income. And so many people have this income struggle. You're relying only on one income source, and it can be very risky. Because what happens if that source disappears? Like it did for many people in 2020. Many people lost their income source in 2022. Millions, hundreds of millions of people. So you don't want to find yourself in that kind of situation. So what do? Diversify your income. You can start a side hustle. You can start investing. Even investing in the stock market. Many of you don't do it. I've been investing in the stock market this year for 21 years. And that's where a lot of money is made. It's not very, if you want to use the word, it's not very sexy because it doesn't sound this big like Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, trading Forex. But it is a very, very stable source of income where if you have 10,000 naira, if you're in Nigeria, you can buy stocks and hold and grow that even when you are doing your 9 to 5. Okay. So what I want you to do to diversify, to get multiple streams of additional income. By the way, the Financial Fitness Challenge is coming up. The enrollment should start next week. And then one of the things that will challenge you is to add at least one additional income stream in 90 days. Because it actually helps me. I am not a rich person. I don't have so much money. But having these different income streams have been really, really amazing for me. It's such a strategic, wise thing. So I might not be rich. I might not have a lot of money, and I've never claimed that I do because it's true. I don't. But having this diversification, something is coming from the stock market, and the things coming from the stock market handle everything. Like from my telecommunications investment, they handle the dividends, handle all my data and all my airtime in the year. Isn't that something? So I might not have money, I might not have cash, but everything, my communication needs are taken care of, internet needs are taken care of by an investment. Are you guys feeling me? If you are, just indicate in the chat that, so it's important. Okay, so you write down 3 possible side hustles or income streams that interest you. Choose one to start just this month. Decide to add one this month. Forget about the get-rich-quick things. Forget about the get-rich. I'm not talking about that one. There are so many get-rich-quick schemes out there. Don't put your hand into those things because you're going to lose. Okay, is this making sense, somebody? Is this making sense? Type making sense in the comment section. And those of you watching later on YouTube, type. Okay. The income struggle number 4 is irregular income. This affects mostly freelancers and then, sole proprietorships and people who gig workers. This affects you a lot. You often face inconsistent pay because the flow of clients is not coming as regularly. So it's affecting your income. All right. And it makes budgeting challenging because you don't know when it's coming. So I faced this myself when I started my business as a coach. So I will get sometimes, I'll get a client in January and I will never get another client until September or November. Has anybody else experienced what I'm talking about? And then when that happens, you find it very difficult because at the same time, my bills for the children's school fees are waiting. Rent is waiting. And then the income is very, very irregular and inconsistent. So it was very, very difficult to plan, to make a budget. All right. So what do? You can look at your lowest monthly income as a baseline and plan your budget based on that. So in other words, don't plan your budget based on that January income from your client where you made 10 million. But rather look at the one where you made 500,000 and use that as your baseline to plan. That is one. Calculate exercise you can do. Calculate your average monthly income over the past 1 year. Build a budget that works for your lowest earning month. This will help you if you have irregular income. Another thing I told one of my clients to do was to anticipate the expenses that will come in the month, because some months are going to require more. For instance, the month of September, when you pay the children's school fees, is going to be a big bump. And then maybe January you're paying school fees. So you now see how you can harmonize your cash flow based on what comes in irregularly. So this can actually help you, because if you don't manage irregular income, it can mess up your financial peace. Number 4 is underemployment. Millions of graduates are underemployed, seriously underemployed. I was shocked. I saw graduates working as fuel station attendants and then earning like 30,000, 20,000. That is horrible. And then some of these people, they want to get married. They are in their 30s. They are approaching 36, 37, 38. And you are underemployed. And you're almost getting to 40 as a young man. And then it's difficult, because you look at the income, your underemployment, and then you look at adding a wife and then possibly having children. And then you just forget the... So underemployment has a lot of psychological problems, and it also affects your dreams. It affects your dreams. You can't afford the things you want to, you can't show up in the world in the way you can, and then you can't even solve your own personal problems. So going to think about adding a family becomes very, very challenging and discouraging to you. What are the strategies you can do? Look out for better paying opportunities. Look out for opportunities to upskill. Okay? You read accounting. You can upskill, to something, charter. You read business management or business administration. You can upskill to digital marketing. So look out, and then also apply for roles that align better with your qualifications than where you are. I see people who work in one particular organization underpaid for 15, 16, 17 years. I don't understand it. Okay? So list the skills and experiences you need for your desired job. Sometimes I think it's fear that just keeps people underemployed. And then fear, I have to hold on to this one I'm managing here. I don't want to let this thing go. And I don't want to mention the nationality, but there's a particular Asian country. When they employ people, I don't know whether they use spells. They employ graduates. I don't know whether they use some kind of spell, spiritual spell or something, to hold them down. And they are paying them pittance. And because I've seen this several times, and they abuse them. They abuse the workers, and they pay them pittance, and they can't leave. Please, if you understand it, tell me why in the comment section. It's a particular country. They do business in different countries and all that. And then they treat the nationals, the locals, very, very poorly. Underpay them. They still stay there. And then I'm telling these people, leave. I was in one of their stores in Victoria Island in Lagos, and I saw these people, the way they were treating the locals, the way they were speaking to them. So I called one of them aside. I said, how much are these guys even paying you? Pittance. But he can't leave. So you've got to do something about your underemployment, okay? So someone said in the comment section, Catherine says again, most of those graduates, when you tell them how to save themselves, they will give excuses. The major problem is laziness. And most girls, instead of learning skills, they prefer hookup. That's a very sad narrative. They prefer hookup. Okay? All right. Okay. Number 6 is not knowing how to negotiate your pay. This is for those who are doing 9 to 5. And it's a big challenge. Not knowing how to negotiate your pay. See, you do not get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. Someone said it before me, but that's a very powerful truth in life. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate. And I saw that in my career. When I was transiting from one of the companies I worked for to another one, I had an interview. And then they asked me. I said to them, I need you to pay me 3 times what, I think I said 4 times, because they ended up paying me about 3 times. But if I didn't ask, they never would. And then the problem is that many of you are asking from a place of fear and a place of, oh, if I ask, they would even say, maybe they will even sack me. Let me continue to manage. And you're taking abuse. You're not being paid as well as you can because you are not bold enough to ask. So one thing I have found useful, which I also teach clients, is first of all, be very, very certain of the value that you are adding to the organization. Make a list. Keep record. Document what you've done and the results, the impact to the organization. For goodness sake, if through certain actions you did in the organization, remarkable actions, the company made 10% or 20% more margin, and everybody knows that it was because of this project, and then you keep quiet, nobody will pay you anything. But if you go to the CEO or the manager or to HR and then say, okay, I want to ask for a raise, and they already know your value. But if you don't ask, they will continue to pay you what they are paying you. And you say, listen, I developed this app. It used to take us 22 days to prepare this and then to prepare the invoice and send to the clients. But look, I developed this app, and now instead of 22 days, it takes just 30 minutes to generate this. And you say, the other day, I also did this and did that, and this is how the company, we're saving time, we're saving money, we made this and all that. I want a raise. My goodness. They will not refuse you. You can even say, look, I want double pay. They will not refuse because you've demonstrated that value. And then they know that if they do not do it, they risk losing you. And I can guarantee you, no organization wants to lose their top performing staff because other people will give it to you. Why are you afraid to ask for raise? But the problem is, if you are not demonstrating value, then you don't have any confidence to ask for raise. So you always want to start by demonstrating value, then go and ask for raise. And then it makes sense that they will give it to you. And then sometimes other organizations are reaching out to you and you can go say, listen, I love this company. I love working with you, sir. But I'm finding it very difficult, I'm getting offers and all that. I don't want to go to those offers. But what you're giving me doesn't match what these people are offering me. I want to stay here, but I need you to raise mine. Do you understand what I'm saying? Negotiate, okay? All right. Number 7 problem, financial struggle, is dependence on active income only. Okay, so you're relying solely on your wages. That's your active income, your 9 to 5 income. The problem with this is that it is tied to your time, to your energy, to your effort. What happens when something happens? What happens when something happens, to your time or to your energy? It means that you always have to be physically present to make money. And then many of you're working in a place right now. If anything happens, God forbid, and then you fall sick, and then you have to be absent for like 1 month or 3 months. It will take a miracle for them to keep you. You will lose it. Okay? So don't depend on something that's tied to your time and effort only. Strategy, start exploring passive income opportunities. I believe it was Warren Buffett who said if you don't make money, if you don't get to a stage where you make money while you sleep, he said you will die struggling financially. And that's very true. You will die struggling financially because it means if you don't have passive income, it means you have to work until you die. Because if you are depending only on your active income, the one that you have to trade your time and your qualification and your skills and certificate for, that is dangerous. So you have to think about something that earns you passive income. All right, I already mentioned stock market. I'm actually in love with the stock market. It's a very fantastic one. So you can earn passive income. You can also use rental properties. You can also think about royalties. You can think about intellectual property. Like I have my ebooks and digital products. I'm going to actually develop a lot more online. And then every day, a penny comes in, 2 pennies come in every day while I'm sleeping. And then those pennies go in helping to pay utility or buy fuel for the car and all that. It's not a lot of money, but it comes every day passively. I just put it once and it continues to generate income. Like I told you, I am not a rich person. I have been stressing this, so there's a reason I've been stressing it, because I've been getting some interesting experiences, because people see me online. I've been getting some interesting experiences, people sending all kinds of messages, to me. I won't actually give more details, but what I can tell you is that I am strategic. I'm not denying that one. I'm wise. I do not have money, but I'm wise. And part of financial wisdom is that you have passive income. You don't depend on just your active income, because it means that when you stop being active, you stop earning income. So identify one passive income opportunity that you can start learning more about. And then I will challenge you that in the next 1 month, in the next 30 days, that you start a passive income opportunity. Another struggle people have with income, very, very common, it's happening as I'm talking about it right now, job loss and unemployment. So unexpected job loss can lead to financial instability, like many of you probably have experienced, especially if you don't have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is what it takes you, for instance, to run your life, to run your family, to your expenses for 1 month. An emergency fund is your monthly expenses for like 6 months or even 1 year. You have it set aside, and it mustn't be in savings. It can be in a very highly liquid investment that you can make a call to at any time. But you do need that buffer, that emergency fund, because sudden job loss is not something to play with, especially if you have family. So when I usually ask people, what happens today if you stop working today? How long are you going to last before you drop your there's a drop in your current lifestyle? And some people say, if I lose my job today, my lifestyle will drop immediately. All right. So calculate your monthly living expenses and set a goal to save enough to cover for at least 3 months. I would actually recommend 6 to 9 months. Why? Because those 6 months will now give you opportunity. You don't have anxiety and fear while you are looking for another opportunity to replace your job. Does that make sense? Then the number 9 struggle people have with income is lack of career advancement. They stay in roles that do not have growth opportunities. Like, there are some organizations, like the ones I worked with, there is, I don't know whether they still run like that, but there is an income cap for people who come in for certain job roles. So when you come in as technical assistant, there is so much you can grow to as technical assistants. Job ceiling, I don't know if they have it in your company where you work. For certain roles there is a ceiling, and so if you want to go beyond that ceiling, you have to master skills beyond the technical assistant skills set. So if you stay in roles without growth opportunities, it can stagnate your income and also make you a very bitter person. I see people who have been on that same role as technical assistant or something for 10 years, 15 years as TAs, and they are not growing. What can you do? Seek mentors, pursue promotion, consider changing your companies, because if the company says this is the most we can pay for this level, there's nothing you can do about it, so you can change. Okay, write down your career goals for the next 5 years and list the steps you need to take to achieve them, to break that your stagnant career opportunity. And then the final one is failure to understand taxes. I'm telling you, this dealt with me. There was a recent one for me as a business owner. In fact, I'm even thinking that this is worse. It affects business owners worse, who don't understand taxes. I would have been paying about 2.8 million naira extra in taxes because of one little, something I didn't understand. And then what saved me was I use a tax professional. I pay a tax expert, because there are so many things about these taxes you can't wrap your head around. And then many of you are paying so much more than you should pay, especially if you own a business, because you do not understand that. And then for some of you who don't pay taxes yet, I really encourage you to get yourself into a position where you pay taxes. It's a privileged position. I'm telling you, you actually make money, especially if you own a business. You actually make more money paying taxes. And then there's so many tax insights. So many, because a lot of people are afraid of taxes, and you are running away from taxes, and you are there's tax avoidance, and you are evading taxes, not avoiding it. And you think you're better off financially. You see, the problem is that if you're evading taxes and you're not paying taxes, you are actually under the radar. Financially speaking, there are places you cannot go. There are opportunities you can never take until you start paying taxes. There are contracts and projects that you can never. And there are even situations where opportunities globally come. And if you don't pay your taxes, you're not paying taxes, you are tax invisible. You can never grow to certain opportunities. So it's actually a joy to pay taxes, and lots of advantages come with it. I know that for many of us in Africa, I don't know about other parts of the world, because like I go to some other parts of the world, I go to some Asian countries, I go to some counties in the United States, and then you can see the tax dollars at work. Then you go to some Scandinavian countries, especially Scandinavian countries, Norway, Switzerland, all those places, you see the taxes at work. But here in most parts of Africa, you can almost see your tax as you're paying it is going straight into the pockets of the politicians. And so many people are averse to paying taxes because they don't know and they don't see what the taxes are. There's no health care, there's nothing, no good roads, no infrastructure and all that. But regardless, again, you pay your taxes for the habit, for what it does for you, not really for what it does for them. And then there have been many companies that I couldn't have been working for without tax information. When I worked for Stanford University, taxes were a requirement, because you can't be working for, because the liability they can face for having a consultant, who doesn't have a tax, who is not up to date with taxes, is huge. So many companies can't risk it. The same thing, I work for MTN. Of course, you must have your taxes must be up to date to work for MTN and for some of these multinationals. So I'm just saying, if you're not paying your taxes, you are missing out on massive income opportunities. So what can you do? Consult a tax professional in your country. Get tax education. All right? Type tax education. Type education. Just type education. Yeah. So these are the 10 common salary struggles that people have and how to deal with them. Let me know if tonight has been really, really wonderful. And whether you've gotten amazing value, tell me the value you've gotten in the comment section. And whatever happens, keep showing up. And I will see you exactly same time tomorrow evening. You have a wonderful day.